Hello, this is Charles, and this is Chapter 1 of Out of Time. I wrote this book 10 years ago, and it's kind of hard to pin down the genre. It's part sci fi, part comedy, and part outright silliness. Join two of the most unlikely heroes as they attempt to save our world as we know it. Chapter 1 October 2016, Brookville, Indiana. Dr. Avi Zielinski steered his fishing boat, a Lund Sport Angler 2000, toward his favorite fishing spot on Brookville Lake. It was a small inlet that branched off the main part of the lake, a spot he had fished for years with varying degrees of luck, but he felt that today was going to be a good day. It was a crisp fall day, and the breeze in his face as he opened up the 225 horsepower engine lifted his spirits. He loved this boat. It was by far the best fishing boat he had ever owned, handled like a dream with minimal bow rise, even with the throttle opened up, and had more than enough storage space. His wife Nadia had bought him the boat, or more precisely let him buy it, for his 70th birthday 2 years ago. Lord, he missed Nadia. She was truly the best thing to ever happen to him. When he arrived from Poland in 1970 with only the clothes on his back, he never dreamed he would meet another emigre from his country, or one so lovely. The first time he laid eyes on her was when she waited on him at a small diner in Bloomington. Nadia was also attending classes at Indiana University and working her way through college by waiting tables. Avi was also working his way through school and could hardly afford to eat out often, but he was there every day for the next week. If she wasn't working, he would hang around until she came in. He knew by her accent that she was also Polish, and he found out on a date later that she was also Jewish. That did it for Avi. She was gorgeous, was from his country, and shared his faith. She had arrived in America 2 years earlier and was able to help Avi adjust to life in the States. They were married the following year, and they remained best friends all those years. Her death of an aneurysm just last year had been a hard blow. There they were, sitting on the deck one morning, having bagels, and she looked at him with that tender look that always made his knees weak, said, "Oh, Avi, what a lovely morning it is," and was suddenly gone. He smiled as he remembered that morning, though his heart still ached at the recollection. Even through his grief, he could envy her going out that way, sitting with the one she loved and feeling no pain. Today was one of those mornings she loved dearly. A cool fall day without a cloud in the sky. They would have breakfast on the deck on days like this, then take a walk around their property, a sprawling wooded estate not 15 minutes from the lake, where they spent all of their time since he retired from the university 3 years ago. Avi reached the inlet where he wanted to fish and throttled back, letting the boat drift to an eventual stop a few feet from the shore. He reached into his cooler and pulled out a beer, sipping it slowly as he fished. Not much biting today. Well, he had all day. That was the nice thing about retirement. No demands on his time. Eventually, he realized that he only had one more beer in the cooler and 2 cans of Coke. That wasn't going to cut it for the whole day. A quick check of another storage compartment showed that he didn't have enough bait to last another hour either. How had he come out so unprepared? "Avi, old boy, your mind isn't as sharp as it used to be," he thought to himself. Luckily, there was a bait shop not far from where he was, an old shop that had been there on the lakeshore for as long as he had been alive, a shop now being run by the grandson of the original proprietor. 5 minutes later, he tied his boat up to the pier and walked toward the shop. The first thing he noticed was that the old building appeared to be under a remodel. There was already a new roof, and the sign, still reading Jarhead Bait and Tackle, looked brand new. This was certainly a change. He didn't think the shop made enough money for a complete makeover. Before he could even get to the door, it opened, and out stepped a large man in his early 40s, a broad smile on his cherubic face, followed by an equally large dog. The dog, an old English mastiff, tipping the scales at over 250 pounds, saw Avi, recognized his friend, and ambled up to have his head scratched. "Hello, Oliver," Avi said to the dog as he scratched his ears. You keeping your human in line? Hey, Professor, what brings you by today? Long time no see. Come on, Thad, just call me Avi, okay? Sure thing, Professor. Didn't pack enough bait and my cooler is running low. I know you have plenty of bait. How about some liquid refreshment? Got plenty of everything. Beer, pop, whatever you want. Maybe just one beer and a 6-pack of Coke. Say, what are you doing to the place? This looks like a pretty major overhaul. Well, it was about time I fixed the place up. I know that, but I thought things were tight. You take out a loan? Nah, a couple came by 2 months ago. Old lady and her grandson. I let them borrow a boat and a fishing pole for a couple hours. She left me a big check and a note saying to fix the place up. Wow, must have been a good check. Yeah, 15 grand. I'm putting it to good use. Probably be able to buy some new boats too. Where's your cooler? Oh, I left it in the boat. Don't you worry about that, Thad said as he carried the drinks and bait to the boat. You don't need to be lugging that thing up here anyway. So last time you were here, you mentioned some big thing you were working on. How's that going? That's going quite well. I figured it out last year, but I didn't have the funds to complete all the experiments and build a functioning prototype. Say you want to hop in the boat and I'll tell you all about it. Sure, let me lock the store up and grab a pole. Probably not going to get any more business today anyway. Never do on weekdays, except from crazy retired professors. Thad returned shortly after with a fishing pole, more bait, and sandwiches. Avi steered the boat back to the area he had been fishing earlier and picked up his story where he left off. So like I said, I cracked the equation, but I didn't have the funds to build the thing. So there I was. None of my peers believe me. They think I've cracked up and that what I said is impossible. Nobody will publish the paper I wrote on the subject, and I couldn't show any tangible proof. So what happened? Would you believe the Powers brothers? The guys who run Power Play Media? Yeah, those guys. I never thought they had an interest in scientific research. But they offered to fund my experiments, wire me more than enough money. I set up a lab at the house and went to work. So, were you successful? Well, it took a while, but I eventually made a working prototype. That's great, so how does it work? Well, most of the scientific details would go right over your head. Try me. Ever heard of tachyons? No. Let me just get to the nuts and bolts. The device is worn by an individual. You can put it around your waist and hide it under your clothes if you wish. It runs on high-capacity batteries that I also developed. You put it on, select a date in the past on the display, and activate it by pushing a button on the side. You hold the button in for a couple seconds while the generator charges, and then you're off. When the generator fully charges, a temporal displacement field is generated around the wearer of the device, affecting anything or anyone else the wearer is coming into contact with. Temporal displacement? In English, please. You select a date, push the button, and you're transported to the time you selected. Anything you're touching goes with you. If you were holding my hand, I would go with you. You saying you made a working time machine? If that's what you want to call it. No wonder nobody believes you. It's like something out of science fiction. So a guy could have this thing on and just run around time? There are limitations. You can't go forward. That would kind of suck. So it's a one-way trip? Not exactly. You can't go forward from your starting point. For us, it's October 2016. We can't go forward from here. You can go back, and then the next time you activate it, you will return to where you started. So if I used it now and went back to meet some knights and then pushed the button, I'd end up here again? Well, if you used it here, you wouldn't meet any knights. They weren't in North America back then. I have to be in the place I want to end up in? You got it. If you want to go back to witness a past event, you have to be in the place that event happened. The device only moves you through time, not to different locations. So you can go back, and then you have to come right back to the present. You can't go back and then go back some more? No, and I designed it that way on purpose. Eventually, you need to come back to the present. Also, the darn thing uses so much power, and I can only fit so much into a battery. You'd have to carry a lot of batteries with you. I made it where you can't put future dates in. You can go back and then you come back to the present. Think about it this way. If you went back to 1950 and then decided to go to 1850, when you trigger the device in 1850, it would take you back to 1950. Then how would you get back here? Well, I suppose that makes sense. But if you can make something that can go back to a specific date, wouldn't you make it go forward as well? Incremental jumps back to your starting point may be possible, but I haven't tested that. Something like this could be dangerous if it fell into the wrong hands, so I made it with these limitations. Just going back once could be dangerous if someone went and changed something. I've given that a lot of thought, which is why I didn't think I'm going to sell the machine. I don't trust anyone with it. I'd like to use it to clear up some historical confusion, only to witness certain events and not change anything. You could let me borrow it. I'll only go back to last Saturday and buy a Powerball ticket. Funny idea. It might not work like you think it would. Small things like that could generate different random results. Have you tried it yet? You have any proof it works? Get in that storage locker there and grab my phone. Thad retrieved Avi's phone from the locker and handed it to him. Avi selected a photo on the phone and showed it to Thad. Is this good enough proof? He asked. Thad looked at the photo on the phone and stared in disbelief. There on the phone was a clear photo of his bait shop, but it had to have been taken decades ago. The building looked brand new, and the young Marine standing next to the door looking surprisingly like his grandfather. Well, I hope you enjoyed Chapter 1. Stay tuned for more chapters from this book and from others. For more information about my other work, check out the links in the description below. And if you'd like to like and subscribe, I'd appreciate that very much. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.